We tuck the tailbone. From here, draw the belly button in, and then we're going to take those ribs and we're going to lift them up so that we have a nice straight spine. So from this position, then make sure you have your weight loaded 50-50 between your hands and your knees. A lot of tendency will be to shift your weight back. Don't allow that to happen. You want to go about 50-50 distribution between your hands and your feet. And then from there, without allowing anything to shift in your body, you're going to lift one hand off the ground. From there, come back down, and then you could do the same thing on the other side. What I would have you do is kind of relax, reset. So tuck the tailbone again, pull the belly button in, lift the rib cage, make sure you have that 50-50 split between your hands and your knees, and then from there, we're going to lift the other hand off the ground. The position that you're going to be in is external rotation of one leg, internal rotation of one leg. So it looks like you have 90-degree angles on both sides. From here, we're coming up into this kneeling, two knee down kneeling position. Then we switch our knees around and we come up on the other side. So here we switch and then we lift up. The modified plank with a hip extension, we'll go back to that modified plank principles that we did with the foam roller. If we still need the foam roller, certainly grab it. If you don't, you feel like you can get a good neutral spine without it, you could certainly do that. So this plank will be modified. So we'll have the knees on the ground. So once you get into position, or once you get yourself up on your knees and your elbows, you're going to tuck that tailbone under, pull your belly button in. From there, we're elongating the trunk or lifting the rib cage away from the abdomen. And then from there, what you're going to do, you keep that pelvis engaged. Don't let your back go back into that swayed position. And we're going to extend one leg up in the air without moving anything. If you're doing this exercise right, you're going to feel an extreme contraction in your glutes and your hamstrings. Obviously, your abdominal muscles will be working as well. But by keeping that tailbone tucked under and not allowing the pelvis to go back into that anterior position, you're going to really make the glutes and the hamstrings fight for that hip extension. So that's what we're going for. Glutes and hamstrings, and then come back down. So recheck your position, hold, and extend that leg out. Wall depression starts out exactly the same as wall retractions. We want our feet off the wall slightly, and that's so that we can tuck our pelvis posterior and make it easier for our whole spine to come into contact with the wall. So that, just like the wall retraction, is priority number one. Belly button's pulled in, chest is lifted. I've got as much of my low back to mid upper back on the wall as possible. We're going to start in the same position. We're going to get into that elevation and retraction, but this time, instead of holding, we're actually going to start to reach our arms up. Now, when we reach our arms up, now we have to engage the muscles that are pulling our shoulder blades down. And now I'm reaching up, making sure everything in my back is flat. And as I'm reaching my hands up to the ceiling, I'm driving my shoulder blades down away from my shoulders. You want about 90% of the weight in your front foot. 10% in the back foot's really just working more as a kickstand than anything.
So
it's going to be a 4-part cycle. Cycle number 1, I'm going to let this knee come forward. Cycle 2, I'm going to hinge my hips forward as if I were doing a deadlift, right? So I'm just taking my body, hinging over. I'm not losing my good spinal alignment. Cycle number 3, I'm going to elevator down towards the floor, right? Still keep it about 90% of my weight in this foot. Cycle 4, I push my shin back towards vertical before standing back into this starting position. So let's go over the mechanics again. Knee comes forward, hinge the hips. Now I lower down. Now, if as you lower down, it's okay. You're gonna get this rotation as you lower down. That is okay. Then we go shin comes back towards vertical before extending through the hips.